Thanks for tuning into our Edit Sesh. I'm Effie.
And I'm Dorothy, two passionate photographers from Hamilton, Ontario.
Join us as we dive into answering FAQs, share tips, and discuss life's moments, all while savoring the rich aroma of our favorite brew and working through our edit cues. Whether you're a photographer or a pal,
we're beyond happy you're joining us.
So excited now.
She's like, Dorothy's here. Dorothy's here to ignore me.
Dog? I'm like, yeah, do you want to meet her?
Yeah.
She's sitting.
Aww, how cute. I love that breed. They're so sweet.
I was gonna read your intro because I haven't shortened it, like, without you being here, because I was gonna be like, this is a long one. We can just make Effie read it. I always make Effie read these.
Yes.
You ready to read like a really short book?
Oh yeah. I'm also an excellent reader.
She was like, I don't really know much about you. And I was like, oh, that's about to change.
I was like, you have 4 kids. And she's like, I have 5. I'm like, oh. And actually 7. With the dogs.
Yeah, 7.
Oh my gosh. You guys were like, let's just add to the crazy and get dogs.
That's basically what it came down to for me. I was like, can't get crazier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get into it. Dallas Lombardi. She's the founder of Dallas & Co., a full-service planning and production company specializing in luxury events and weddings. With over 20 years of experience, Dallas has built a reputation for creating breathtaking, high-end events while pushing creative boundaries. But her story goes far beyond the world of event planning. Dallas's journey is one of resilience, reinvention, and relentless advocacy. From supporting herself as a teenager to becoming an executive in the hospitality industry by 26, she has always carved her own path. But life took an unexpected turn when motherhood found her through adoption after 7 years of an inconclusive infertility journey with her husband at the time. She adopted 2 children with her husband of almost 10 years, only for him to walk away, leaving her to navigate parenthood alone. Her kids, who are biological siblings, have complex behavioral needs. She went from instant mom to working mom to single working mom of 2 children with special needs after a recent and comprehensive diagnosis process. A reality she was blindsided by due to the lack of transparency from the system. Now, Dallas is not just a mother. She's a fierce advocate, fighting for the support her children deserve while balancing her career and personal life. On top of all that, she just got engaged. She and her fiancé, Chris, are blending their families as he also has children with disabilities. Together, they are building a life full of love, creativity, and perseverance. Today, we're diving into her incredible career, the challenges and joys of motherhood, her fight with a broken system, and how she continues to show up and create beauty in the world despite everything she's been through. This is a conversation about strength, vulnerability, and the power of forging your own path. Wow.
And you read it so much.
I read it really good.
Yeah, that's like, I kept being like, I need to shorten this, but I was like, I can't. There's nothing you can cut out.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's deep. This is like our deepest podcast. And similar to one of our very first podcasts last year.
Which one?
Yours.
Oh.
The one where we talk about adoption.
Yeah. We talk about it, like, actually, I think twice, because have you watched the movie Lion?
No.
It's a sad movie, so I don't suggest watching it.
I feel like I've heard of it and someone told me not to watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe just watch the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I have heard of this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll make sure I'm in a good state.
Yeah.
I think you'll cry either way.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure. It doesn't take much to make me cry these days.
Yeah. Same.
I think everyone cries for that one.
Yeah. So yeah, right away we have basically like the elevator pitch of like your story, which we chatted about. So if you have something to let us know more about that, I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of it, but I'd love to hear more of that from, your side.
Sure. So a lot of people don't know this. I'm actually an esthetician by trade. So that's what I went to school for. I worked at a spa when I was a teenager and I just loved it. So I pretty much knew how to do everything. So I decided to get certified. But basically at 18, I moved from Burlington, downtown Toronto. And I just like fiercely worked. Like I was young and I was supporting myself. So I was kind of working both in the aesthetics industry and then I was waitressing and bartending and doing all that. So I had like 3 jobs. And eventually I took over a maternity leave contract for events. So I shifted into events and that like immediately felt like home for me. And I just crawled up the ladder and I was working at these high-end, super prestigious venues downtown Toronto. And then I got into management and eventually I was managing people like my parents' age. And yeah, I became a director at the age of 26.
Crazy.
Then I got married and we spent most of our marriage like trying to get pregnant, which wasn't working. So we started considering adoption. So we went down that path and eventually got matched with 2 biological siblings.
When you were looking to adopt, were you looking specifically to adopt 2 people, or do they like suggest like you should keep these 2 kids together? Like, how does that work?
So when you go through the adoption process, it's like, it takes a long time. Like there's a training period and then there's a home study. And then once you get approved for adoption, that's when, you basically like, there was a booklet of things you check off yes or no to, like, do you want a baby, boy, girl, mental health, all these things. Like there's so many things. We didn't ask for siblings. They matched, these siblings to us. And so they basically present the case file to you. And it was an instant yes for us. Like there were so many parallels with this kid's histories and us. And so, yeah, it was an instant yes.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That's your first question because I was like, I want to know more about esthetician stuff. Like, I want to.
We've already passed that.
I know, but like, I'm always like, whenever I go get something done, like your eyebrows or like whatever, I'm always like, it's so interesting that like people just like they're like, yeah, you know what I love? This. And I'm always like, because it's not in me at all, like to like, and I'm not good at any of that stuff. So I always find it really interesting when people are like, yeah, I love doing X, Y, and Z. And like, it makes sense because you always look really put together. So,
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't like trendy back then like it is now.
Yeah.
Like, much more like spa vibes, I would say, than it is like now, like the nail bars and all kinds of stuff. So I just found like at the time, and the money wasn't great back then.
Oh.
So that's kind of why like the hospitality stuck too. Like there was a lot more opportunities there. It's also good on your body.
Yeah. Oh, I could imagine.
Oh, I remember doing like 10 pedicures in a row in one day. And it's like your back is just like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine when you're 26, but then. Ugh. Oh, no.
So I ended up, so we were trying to get pregnant. Like my job was so stressful. So I decided to walk away from the job, take a break. We had already explored, like we had already been adopt approved. So at this point, there was years where we were just waiting, like you're just waiting for a call. So that was kind of done. And I was living in Hamilton at that point. We had moved. So I started kind of building community and building some contract work here. And then when the kids came home, I went on a full, it's called a parental leave, not a mat leave when you're an adoptive parent. And basically like right after I went back to work, my husband left the family. And that is what led me into my new life. Like it's, I call it, my course correction. I think the kids came into my life to course correct my path. And, obviously that was a hugely traumatizing experience. I had to heal the kids twice, from another loss. And then just the ripple effect in becoming the single parent. Yeah. And as the kids, like behavioral issues went from like grief to actual mental health challenges, it was just every aspect of my life. Like I say that in getting the one thing I wanted most, which was motherhood, I lost everything and I had to completely rebuild my life and went on this huge personal healing journey. And that's kind of, what's led me to like my beautiful new personal life that I have now, which I wouldn't wish this on myself again, but I'm grateful because, I found Chris and I have beautiful friendships. And I just feel like my life and my business are in personal alignment. And yeah, basically with my company, that came about because I had to resign from my leadership role. I could not fulfill it with everything going on in my personal life. And I rediscovered joy through my work through Dallas & Co. So again, it's a gift, really.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you that you got to that point. I mean,
I made it. I made it.
Long journey.
Oh man.
But yeah, everything happens for a reason. And it sounds like, oh, how did you even meet Chris?
Oh my gosh. I still can't even believe it's so crazy. Okay. So I got to tell you, so after kind of when I was still a little bit in the darkness of my circumstances, I decided to have this angel card reader who's in our community. All my friends are talking about her. So I had her come to the house. And so she told me, that love is coming and that you're on the other side. You're still kind of in it, but it's coming and you already know each other. It's just about timing. And I was like, okay. It was, you think about it and it's like, I don't know who it is. So I moved on. And so it was my birthday 2 years ago. And I wanted a DJ for like the pre-party and then we were going to go out. And so in my social circle, Chris is the DJ you call. Like, we already knew each other kind of from the community. And so long story short, he was the DJ for my birthday. And what happened was my girlfriends, this was like my first kind of social outing birthday thing since going through this whole mess. And so my girlfriends start getting up and doing speeches. And like deep emotional, I'm sobbing. I'm like crying, and Chris is up there, like like who is this woman? Like So it's funny because he ended up coming out with us that night, and like he had asked me to go to the bar and get a drink, and literally the room just like completely disappeared. It was just like this instant, like, what is this?
Wow.
Yeah.
The first time you like really talked to him, because if you knew him like DJing, you've obviously worked like other events with him before that.
Nope.
Oh no. Okay, so that was your first meeting.
Yeah, like we have been in the same room together before. We kind of traced it back after, but no, we hadn't. Like we would like each other's stuff on Instagram or maybe.
So that's how you knew each other.
We'd never had a conversation. No.
True. Yeah. That's spooky.
Yeah.
I want an angel card reader to come.
I'll send her number.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
We are hitting some of these cues, but
okay,
I'm gonna bring us back to this.
Go for it.
Nope.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. You faced a lot of challenges in both your personal life and career. Looking back, what has been the biggest lesson in resilience for you? Deep questions.
I'm an open book. I'll go deep.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you an example. There's lots, obviously. But so there's this one time I was a director and of an event team, and I was sitting with the CEO in her office, and there was this big catastrophe going on at work, and like it was bad. I don't remember now what it was, but I remember she reached across the table and grabbed my arm, and she checked for a pulse because she was like, "Why are you not completely like freaking out about this? Like this is so bad." Oh. And I just said to her, I was like, I've just seen it. Like I've seen it all. And it's like, we always figure it out. And so I think just that's one of the biggest things is being able to, I literally think everything is figure outable somehow. Like there's nothing that happens to me that I'm like, it's done. Like, like there's just always got to be a way. And it's just, you're not afraid anymore. It's like, after you go through so many things, it's like, it takes a lot now for me to be afraid.
That's what you want in a wedding planner.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. My clients aren't stressed.
You don't realize, well, maybe other people do, but like, I was like pretty chill as a wedding photographer before. And I think it's because things didn't really faze me because I think it didn't directly also it didn't really impact my work. so I was always like, yeah, it's cool. Like, let me know. I'm here. I'm going to take photos. Like, whatever. But then you have a kid and you're just like, yeah, like things happen and we're just going to keep trucking along. And that's like literally like people like even this year, like they're like, oh, aren't weddings like so stressful? And I'm like, honestly, like I'm barely stressed by like a wedding these days. And I know photography is so different than wedding planning because there's so many more moving pieces and dealing with a lot more people. But I think it sounds like both of those roles would like bring a lot to the table, like for you. And also, I mean, just can't imagine like between you, Chris, the kids, the dogs, and then both having businesses, like you guys must be taking like a lot of ashwagandha or something. Specifically.
You know what, though? The thing, I know Chris feels the same way about his work, and it's just like, it's such a sense of fulfillment and joy for me. And it's one of the few things in my life after everything that's happened that is just mine.
Yeah.
And because I work in luxury, like, and just because of my personal circumstances, I only take on like six-ish events a year. So they all feel really special. And I know like each of my clients gets to feel like they're my only client because I'm not a wedding factory in any way. So
love that.
You know, yeah.
That's good.
You must have like a big community to help you, like with the kids, even if you and Chris just like want to go out or something. What kind of village do you have helping you?
That's a kind of a loaded question because I don't know that I do actually. And I didn't know that would be the case. There's a lot of layers to your question, actually. First of all, it is a whole production to get people where they need to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I start planning my schedule for childcare, like for the summer, like I'll be sending those dates out to the options I have available to me, like next month, like in April. And I usually have a backup because these weddings, like we're talking big productions, like I have to be there. Like I have to plan for every possible thing to go wrong. So I have people in line, like I have babysitter 1, babysitter 2, babysitter 3, right?
Yeah.
And, but because my children do have challenges, I can't just hire a babysitter.
Yeah.
And that's one of the hardest parts for me is that I am looking for specialized skills, and sometimes even like certification to be able to do this here. And it's actually so stressful, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I totally get that. Like, I mean, I'm not at the scale. Obviously, I have just the one kid and she's young, but like, luckily for me, like Ruben doesn't work the same hours that I do. So if I basically tell him like Friday to Sunday is mine and like until my schedule is set, then you should just assume that you can't do something because I have to work. And I assume that Monday through Thursday that like if I want to do something then I gotta figure out how to make it work. So we luckily have it set up that way, but I can't imagine having to like of course need like the backup and all that kind of stuff. Have you been motivated in growing the business and like how have you stayed? Like I know you touched on like this is something for me and this is mine. Are you motivated to grow and how do you stay motivated in your business for that?
Well, I am so again, it's layered, right? So like I'm the driver and I'm like, you know, it's this way and like we keep growing and we keep pushing and we keep, you know, like scaling, whatever you want to call it. I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me as a person because that's my default. Yeah. But I have to reel that back right now because I'm still very much in a journey with creating stability and supporting my children emotionally, behaviorally, etc. I can't do more than 6. I'm not able to do that. And that was part of the reason why I started Dallas & Co. and stopped working for other people is because I just, the need is at home right now. But one thing I will say, I have never, I don't think ever, I've never had like that, you know how they talk about mom guilt?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that. So I strongly, like, it's not that I believe it. I know it to be true. Like, it might sound cliche, but like, I know that I have to take care of myself in
Yeah.
order to do this. Like, there's no way for me to be able to do this unless I take care of myself. So like the first year when I was by myself, I was like, oh my God, I need a babysitter. Like, how do I do this? Eventually I recruited someone who was skilled, and I recruited the lead girl at one of the kids' camps one summer, and she's still a part of our family today, bless her soul.
Yeah.
But I finally managed to leave the house. Like,
Yeah.
for a long time, I couldn't leave the house. Like, could you imagine?
Yeah.
And so I started taking myself to the pillar and post
Nice.
like twice a year. And it was just the thing that I did for myself. And I didn't care how much money it cost, because it's literally the only thing I could do. Like, I wasn't shopping for myself. I wasn't going on trips. I wasn't doing anything, So it was like, this is the thing I'm investing in for myself. And I would go for the weekend. And it was just like the best thing that I could do for myself. And so, yeah, just, it's hard to self-care when there's no space for yourself. So it's like, I would have these little weekends, and I always made sure I had something in the calendar to look forward to. And I think just mentally that helped me sort of get through the day to day.
No, I totally understand that.
That's like something that a lot of people need to learn by pushing themselves too hard. Like, it doesn't sound like you got to that point. Like, you are just smart enough to know that you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. But like a lot of people in our industry, we push ourselves to burnout, and then we actually like get sick and then can't work. It's bad.
I think that's the thing too. Once you have a kid, it's like you can't get to a place where you're like incapacitated, because you have to take care of like other living things. And then you're like, if I do this and I can't walk the next day, you're like, well, it's not good for anybody. I had to scale down too as well. And it was more like, mentally, can I do it? Physically, can I do it? Is it good for like me and Ruben's relationship? Like all those types of things. Yeah.
Did you learn
what was that?
I was going to ask if you learned that through trial and error. Like, did you push yourself to burnout and learn that, or are you just smart enough to know you need?
Oh, that's exactly what I was going to say is
Okay.
I definitely like subscribe to hustle culture pre-kids. And in the time period from when I left my corporate job to becoming a mother, and I took that break, that's where I learned what we're talking about. And the timing it's great timing, because I went into motherhood knowing that already. But if I had gone into motherhood without that time gap, I would have been in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people do go straight into that, because not everyone has their own business that they hustle in. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How comfortable are you talking about? I'm very curious what the disabilities are that all the children have. If you're comfortable with it, I would love to hear, but if not, it's totally fine.
I can talk about it, but I'm not going to name it, because I do like to keep my kids' stories private.
Okay.
And there's still a lot of unknowns that we're trying to kind of unravel with that, but and I want to talk about it because one of the greatest challenges of my experience is that people don't understand or have experience with what I'm specifically dealing with. And that is, the challenges we're experiencing are a result of trauma. And people, I think the trauma is a buzzword right now. And it's not negative. It's good that people are talking about it. It's good that people are on healing journeys. It's good that people are in therapy. But the type of trauma that I'm experiencing is at a developmental level. Sorry, that my kids have experienced is at the developmental level. And the diagnosis that we're working through right now is a result, is because of trauma. Right. And what I've shared about this publicly a bit, but trauma is an invisible disability. So if you meet my kids, they look the same, they sound the same, they present as neurotypical, but they're so complex and the fight of my life is educating, educators. Even you need special doctors, and it's not autism what I'm dealing with. So there's no funding, there's no respite, there's no awareness really of what the support looks like for our family. And I'm still very much in it right now. But yeah, that's sort of like where everything is sort of rooted at.
Yeah.
Right.
We spoke like a bit about like my sister who has a son, and he has like similar well, I mean, I don't know how similar it is because I don't exactly know everything, but she just messaged me this morning actually, and she like literally saying that she finally got basically like support and like advocation for him in school that she has been fighting for 3 years to get
All right.
And I was like, oh, it's March. So like, what, he's got 3 months of school left. So that's perfect. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, it's been 3 years of you trying to literally get him help at school. And it's taken this long. And now like we're headed into the 4th year. So for 3 years, he's basically not had support at school and unable to learn in like the capacity that he needs. And so often like they would just hand him an iPad and be like,
oh my God,
here, sit in a corner by yourself. Like it's truly like crazy. And I I can't imagine her going through this alone. Like I even try to help, but I'm like, I don't even know what you're doing. Like I don't know how to. So, and it's truly feels like, yeah, she's just on this journey alone a lot of the time.
It's like being on an island, and I can so relate to everything you just said that she's gone through. I have been on waiting lists for years. Like I'm in my 4th year of us being a family, and when the kids came home, they were 2 and 3, so they entered school within the first year of me being a mother, and so it did take. Now, I do want to say, like, I have an amazing school, and the relationship we have now and how they support us is like, I'm so grateful. But that took a long time, and I was pushing and fighting, and I wouldn't go away, and it wasn't comfortable. But now, and the other piece to this is like, I also had to fight to get a diagnosis.
Yeah.
I had to fight to get a diagnosis. And that is the only way I got an IEP, which is an individual education plan.
Yeah.
And so this is the first school year that we have mostly proper support at school.
It's just crazy. It takes so long because it's also like, I feel like it's happening more and more and more. And I don't understand like why it takes so long and then why there's so much pushback. And it just seems so ridiculous that it takes this long to get like someone diagnosed and then the support. And I suppose underfunding is for schooling is part of the problem, obviously, right?
But is it also education like toward the teachers? So like everything that you're doing and going forward, will it be easier for the next people to start getting those IEPs and like,
I don't know,
getting listened to?
In my experience so far, every school year and the beginning of summer, I start again.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting.
I start again. It's a little bit, it's definitely, better having the IEP, which it comes with the diagnosis in most cases. Like it's part of the diagnosis. The kid requires a specialized plan at school. So once you have that, like I'll admit it is definitely easier now than not having it. But every year so far, it's like start again, and then it's summertime, and then you got to go upstairs and find the boss at the camp and talk to that person and be like, "Have you read the paperwork?" And they usually haven't, and
I see.
Yeah. We're like tired listening about it. Like, no, not listening about it, but like, like
we're tired for you.
Yeah. Like secondhand tired.
Yeah.
Oh man. a lot of these, like, we're checking off as, like, we're discussing, which was obviously my hope. Like, this one is, like, was the, like, basically talking about advocating for their challenges and things that CAS didn't disclose. And, like, essentially, like, what is the hardest part of advocating? And it sounds like continually reteaching people about the situation is one of them. Do you have, like, an additional, like, thing for advocating for them that you're finding, like, challenging?
Oh yeah. Okay. So it's like, there's obviously things that I can't talk about right now, but I do want to share as much as possible because I think it's so important. I think that, like, I know it's my duty to keep the kids' stories private. I know also know my duty to advocate and educate as widely as possible because adoption is so romanticized in society, right? You watch the movies, it's like, it's just not it's not the story.
Yeah.
It's not the story. But so it's like, you know, obviously I've been at this for 4 years now. And when I entered, it was packaged as motherhood, obviously. And it's now I know what this is. I know what I'm dealing with. I know it's you learn and you grow, and you guys know enough about me, I'm sure, to know that I'm like an overachiever. And so I know what I'm talking about and I know what I'm doing right now. I didn't know that in the beginning. So there's been a journey of advocacy for sure. Like it's existed the whole time, but it's like the more I'm in it, and, you know, now that we're dealing with like the medical piece, to be perfectly honest, it's roadblock after roadblock, dead end after dead end. I'm spinning in circles, and it's like, it's the system's broken.
Yeah. I feel that way about most systems. Like, I mean, I've had my own challenges that are totally different, like medically wise, like, just even me figuring out that I have like a chronic illness, like it took like 2 years to figure that out. And it was easy, you know what I mean? But like, you know, I had to use my own expenses and keep getting tests and like, it didn't even come out ever by my doctor letting me know. It was like a dietitian who noticed a flag on a blood test. And you're just like, this is ridiculous. Like, just stuff like that. And I mean, obviously way more, but it's always like such a long circular like journey, like what you're talking about. And I keep thinking about how like a lot of this stuff like isn't going away. And so, yeah, like, even just like learning more about that stuff. Have you joined like a lot of like support groups, or I just speaking from my sister's scenario, like she's joined a couple of like walking clubs where they like it's geared to like supporting moms with kids with FASD. So like, have you joined any of those for more support, or like like to gain information or to figure out systems more?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, there's a lot of different support groups in the adoption community. My situation though is pretty extreme. Like a lot of there isn't really a professional or anyone who knows, you know, anything about anything in my world who hasn't said this is a 10 out of 10. And it's typically one of like, if not the most extreme, because there's all these layers to our story and the kids' stories that makes it so complex. But I kind of, well, I don't joke. It's not funny at all. But I say to people now that ask me if I've read this book or joined the support group, and I'm like, we're far beyond that now. Like we're over here now. Like that is not helpful anymore. But I will say, when the kids first came home, I was connected to another adoptive mother who had the same extreme and sibling case, like similar, just level of hard, basically. And so they've become like, we're friends, like our kids hang out together and we'll meet up in the summer. And she's been a huge resource for me. And that's one thing that I hope that maybe I can help advocate for in the future, for new adoptive parents, is like people like me should be paired with them from the minute the kids go home, because I can, like, if you can see it in real time and you know what the behavior means. And So for people like us who didn't, like, it would have been so helpful to have that person, just, as your buddy from the beginning.
For sure. I always think about that because people always ask me that, like, because I'm an advocate for people with ulcerative colitis, and these, like, I do interviews and stuff, and they're always like, what would you have done differently? And I'm like, pair me up with someone that's gone through it, or like give me like a kit, like a welcome kit to like help me survive this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
I did want to ask, going back to CAS, you said that they didn't disclose their disabilities, but you did mention that on the outside they seem neurotypical. Did they not disclose it on purpose, or did they not disclose it because they didn't know?
That is a loaded gun.
I'm going to answer that on the surface. I'm not going to answer that because I just don't feel it's appropriate yet.
Fair.
Look, at the end of the day, whether you birth your child or you don't, or you adopt, it's fair. You don't know. You don't know how a child is going to develop. Kids who have experienced trauma. So when my kids came home at ages 2 and 3, developmentally, they were half their age. So I was carrying them. We would wrap them in sheets. We would like do a lot of that sort of thing to build attachment. And with that being said, like, so it took longer for the behavior to kind of show itself, or the diagnosis to show itself, and you're dealing with so much. You're dealing with like grief and loss and emotions and big feelings. And there's an attachment, and that takes a long time. So for me, especially after my husband left, it was like grief management 2.0. So I was seeing a lot of behavior, but it's like, you don't know, is it DNA? Is it grief? Is it mental health? Is it regular toddler stuff? Like, there's so many things that we're looking for. I will say that, in my opinion, now that I've done this one time with 2 kids, I think that given the history that most children come with who have been in the system, I think that the likeliness of it ending up sort of like how it has for us with challenges is more likely than not. So what I believe is that when they go home or they become adopted, there should be a pediatrician, there should be a therapist, there should be a developmental doctor, there should be a behavioral therapist, and like someone like me, like as the mentor, like there should be a team, not just a social worker. There should be a team ready so that if and when, thinking that it's going to be likely that there are going to be challenges, that there's a team in place, because I couldn't even get a pediatrician.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know how to help?
Because there's waiting lists, and they should already have that lined up. I think, like, as a support plan, I think the support plan needs to be in place, and then eventually it can go away if it's not required, as opposed to it being the other way around.
Yeah. I, like, as someone who's been in the system, and I obviously had like a very good scenario, but like I had to watch like my sister go through it and not have the best case. Like, when we were starting to get older, like Tara had a lot of like aggression and anger, and it was because she was older than me. So I think, like, I remember being told, and now I look at my daughter, she's 2.5, and I was placed in foster care at 3. So I think, like, she can understand things, but like obviously not fully. And I remember must have been a point where like I started maybe asking more about my parents, even though I was visiting them. I think at some point somebody told me like, you can't go back to them. And I distinctly have this like memory in my head being like, what do you mean I can't go back? Like, and just remembering that. And I also remember, like so many small things. Like I remember listening to Anne Murray in the car on the rides from like my family's house to my foster family's house, and I hate Anne Murray now. Like I'm like, that's the whole, her voice is like depressing to me, because it was like the moment I was like being taken from my family to go live somewhere else, essentially like every other weekend. And I also remember like feeling like quite sad on the drives home. And I remember I actually did a talk at one of the foster nights and saying like, I think like kids like really need that like decompression and like help assimilating like back into like foster care life. Like I don't think I ever had that. Like my parents were like, they weren't like, come and like, you know, like giving me extra care when I got home. It was like, I just went back into like a house full of 6 other kids. And I was just there. Like I had been hanging out with friends, like not that I was like being constantly ripped from my family and like it not being explained, you know? And then, yeah, I just think about like those things. Like as I got older, I remember going to like, a child psychologist as well. And they make you like look at like things, and I was deemed like a normal child. Like she's fine. She's doing all right. But like my sister struggled with like learning and, like aggression and stuff and anger. And essentially what they ended up doing was taking her out of our home and putting her in another home and not giving her like any support. Like she went to another foster home with more children and less support. Like
that's like true for me.
Yeah. I always think about this to this day. And I'm like, if they did these tests and they figured out, like, why wasn't the family that we were with just given the support then? I have never asked my foster mom, but it's a tough convo to have. And I know like she was struggling there. So it was a call that they made, but I still think it's wrong to this day. So
sorry you went through that.
I think as well as like, I remember thinking like the social workers, like bless their hearts, everybody who I meet who's a social worker, you're like, great. But then you think like they leave and you get a new one and you have to like retell them things. And then also like, you don't talk to somebody you don't know for like, if you have an issue at your foster home, you're like, this person is appointed to talk to me to tell my foster parents the things that I say. So you're not helpful at all to me. You're not a safe person. I remember thinking I didn't feel like safe enough to talk to somebody until I got a big brother, big sister.
I was one of those.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be one, and I regret that I haven't been yet. But I know.
You know what though? That's a good thing to talk about, and that is, I think one of the things, again, going back to like society romanticizing adoption, is like, I think I don't wear an I'm an adoptive mom t-shirt.
Yeah.
You know, however, I should. However, I am telling my children, as is appropriate at the time, you know, their story. They know their story.
Yeah.
You know, they know they didn't grow in my belly, and they know why. And they know that there's lots of ways that families come together. They know, you know, again, as they've kind of like grown and healed and different, you know, as they become more aware, I decide what's appropriate to share and when. And it just, I can see sometimes, like I just had a family meeting a couple weeks ago and I saw the gaps get filled in her brain a bit. And it's like, okay, now I understand that's why. So that's so important. I think people are like, do they know or do I not tell them? Like, it's easier if I just don't tell them, but it's actually just that's not child centered. They need to know. They need to know. And that has gotten easier for me. Like, it can be a bit insecure feeling in the beginning as an adoptive parent, but honestly, like that's a big part of our job. And I think that not very many people talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I can probably understand a bit of like, as an adoptive parent, how like that might make you feel, but then at the end of the day, it's like, you're literally there. Like, you're loving them and they see that and feel it, obviously. So yeah, like, I know that's got to have like a lot of mixed emotions for sure, but it's so true what you're saying, like child focus. And then as they grow and like understand more, I feel like there's like new grief there that like they have to like uncover and figure out.
Yeah, and it's and that's exactly it. Is it's like, when they were 3 years old, the things that I've told them recently, it wasn't the right time because it would have just triggered.
Yeah.
Now there can be grief attached to it, but like, I'm safe, and there's transparency, and there's nothing that I won't talk to them about. And I a lot of times take my cues from them, and it's safe. So I feel that, grief is okay. We don't want to trigger people, but
yeah, for sure.
How do you balance being an entrepreneur, a mother, and now an advocate for your kids in such a high stress situation? I know you kind of covered that you have to take care of yourself before you take care of others, but if there's anything else.
Yeah. I think, well, first of all, and this isn't going to be something that everyone can be like, oh, I'm going to do that too. Like, I have structured my job to be able to support the kids and myself emotionally and otherwise. So obviously, like, I do work every day for the most part, but I have time. I require time when the kids are at school to not only just run the whole house and do all the things, but go for a walk and just have the house with peace, and walk the dog, whatever, like just have that time for myself. But yeah, it's a journey for sure. Like, I would say, an advocate for self-care, definitely, but it has been hard to find space for myself. I'm not alone now, though. I have a partner, and that, like, it was my birthday the other week, and they all woke up and made me breakfast in bed, and I stayed in bed. And like, that was literally the first time in motherhood that's happened. So
that's like cute.
I love
that's nice. And yeah. So
what advice would you give to women, especially mothers, who are trying to build a business while managing personal struggles?
I would go back to this. Maybe we'll dive deeper into the mom guilt concept. Like, I definitely, so this is just about like, understanding that taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's required. And I think that there's judgment or fear of judgment in that. I experienced that. I have experienced judgment, actually. And that's wrong, because, you have to be healthy, and you have to take care of your mind, and you have to feel fulfilled in your life and experience joy. These are like human requirements, and you are a human. You're not, like, I don't just identify with being a mom. I don't just identify with being a business owner. Like, I'm Dallas. I'm a human being, and I deserve to experience my life outside of motherhood and all of my trauma,
For sure.
And,
what kind of things are you doing to experience your life and like find joy? I know you did like a dancing thing. I also want to hear about that thing.
Oh yeah, Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, what is that?
That was like one of the most incredible experiences and hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. It's basically, it models the show, but you do 2 dance routines and you perform in front of, so we trained for like 3 months. You get matched with a professional dancer. You do that. And it's a dance competition, but you also have to raise money. It's for Easter Seals Ontario. And it's like, I think I raised just over 8,000. Like, it was a job. Like, you can't, if you're listening to this and you want to sign up, like, you can't just think it's all fun and dancing. Like, it's a lot of work.
All fun and dancing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so fun. What else do you do?
Well, you guys know Chris and I have started A Chance to Dance, which is a passion project for us. So it's the all-inclusive barrier-free dance party for people of all abilities. And like, that is like that gives me so much joy because, I've always wanted to help people. Like that's my purpose in life. And it's nice to do that outside of the home and with my partner. And obviously we're very aligned in the community of people with disabilities with both of us having kids like that. And I also, I really am trying to write my book, but now I'm thinking it might be better off as a movie. So if anyone pick this up.
Is it just like a book about your life?
It's a memoir about my life, but every time I go to write it, it's like I'm still living it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it should be both.
I know. I think so too.
That's exciting. Have you ever written anything before?
I'm a writer. Yeah. I had a blog for a long time. But I've always wanted to write a book about my life, but it just like, I'm waiting to just be like, okay, everything's stable. Now I can write it. Always something. And I'm like, oh, this is still part of the book.
Yeah. Wow. It's never going to end.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to write it in like
parts. It's a series.
I actually have like half of it written. I started last year really writing it, and then things just got really hard again. And I was just like, oh, I need to put this over here for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's hard to articulate what this has felt like for me in all the layers in words,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard.
Well, you did a really good job of it on this podcast, at least.
Oh, thank you.
So it's there. You know how to do it. It's writing, I'm sure is.
Mm-hmm.
What's next for Dallas and Co?
Well, a movie.
Yeah, you know what? Like I just right now, honestly, my priority is the family. Like I still have a lot of work to do with kids, and it's a full-time job. Dallas and Co is great. Like, doing the handful of events that I do is perfectly great for me right now. Do I want to scale it moving forward? Like probably. But one of the under the umbrella of Dallas and Co is a chance to dance. And I would really like to see that grow into, Chris and I really want to grow it into a charity. So I'd like to put some focus there. And that book and or movie, I don't know.
Oh man. I don't know how you do it all.
I really want to hear about your proposal. If you have like a quick little
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I had no idea. Like I did post the video, and you can see on my face that I clearly had no idea. So we went to Isla. It's an island off of Mexico. Like you fly into Cancun and you go to this island. Chris lived there for a winter and he's been like 12 times. It's his favorite place. And so it's funny because when we were booking the trip, I was kind of pushing back going there because I really like doing new things with him. But anyway, we ended up going there and I'm so glad we did because now it's just my favorite place too. And so on the first day it's known for its sunsets. Like if you see the sunset there, like it looks completely different. It's just big and like bold. And I love sunsets. So yeah, we were just having a drink at the beach and he sets up his camera. He bought this new 360 camera for his work and we was testing it out for what I thought he was time lapsing the sunset because he does that. Yeah. So he's got his tripod set up and it's all attached, because it's windy and so we go out on the dock and we're watching the sunset. No one's on the dock. Then all of a sudden there's like a crew of people and they're walking by and they're touching his camera and he's like, no, don't touch my camera, me. He's stressy. And then all of a sudden there's these stray dogs. So there's first the one dog and it's all over me. And I'm like, oh, look, Chris, a doggy that's taken on with us. And now I can see that he's getting like agitated because it's ruining his plan. And then a second dog comes and it's irritating that dog. And they're like, now we're afraid that are we in danger? Anyway, so you can see it or you can hear it on the video recording. But I'm like, we're here. We're at the sunset. Like, it's okay. Like, look where we are. Like, it's okay. It's just dogs. No problem, right? Meanwhile, the poor guy is trying to figure out where's the ring? How do I get it? The dog's away. I can't, So because of those dogs, I happened to just turn around and the other people were way at the other end of the dock. I happened to turn around to look at the dog. And when I turned back, he was on his knee. And so now he says he's grateful for the dogs.
Yes.
I want to turn around.
They're paid actors.
You were like, did it bite you? Why are you down on your knee?
Then the dogs left. Then the dogs were gone.
Wow. He saw the opportunity and took it. Good for him.
Perfect.
Yeah. It was so sweet.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
And then also we didn't know this. Like I was completely out of body experience. I didn't know what was going on, but it turns out there was like a couple of ladies in the water just by the beach. And so when I said yes, they cheered. And then one of them walked over and took her pictures. She's like, "Do you want us to take a picture for you?"
Aww.
And so we got these great photos. Yeah, it was so nice.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
360 camera, come in and clutch
Yeah,
as usual. I have one. I probably told him about it.
Yes, probably you did.
Probably I did.
It's crazy how like unaware you are, and then in the moment you're like, "Oh wow, all of this makes sense. How did I not know?" Like,
yes.
Yeah, and then it's funny because after the proposal, like we were kind of you go back in the day and he's like, "Oh, this happened," and then that because I was like, "Were you freaking out all day?"
yeah,
And then there was certain things he said to me, and I was like, now it's like it was a bit weird, but I just didn't care. I didn't think about it, whatever. Because I was like, for example, like I was wearing a white bikini that day, which it was new. And he at one point was like, "Oh, my beautiful bride," and I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay."
weird.
Yeah, weird, but okay.
That's so funny.
He's like reminiscing out loud that he's asked you, but he hasn't asked you yet. And he's like, "Oh no, she doesn't catch that one."
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Poor guy.
My face hurts hearing that story.
That was cute.
Oh,
Have you already planned your whole wedding in your head?
No.
no,
Aw.
not at all.
Are you going to get a wedding planner? Obviously.
No, God, no.
You're not?
No.
Guys,
You can do it all yourself?
I have a great idea. Okay, chance to dance. Just do it there.
I thought of that, actually. I thought of that.
We'll be there. So photographers, check.
Yeah.
DJ, check. Venue, check.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
assuming that, like, your good pals, they probably come anyways, right?
To the chance to dance.
Yeah.
Like a bit. We do really try to keep it mostly people with disabilities, though. So even our volunteers, like we do have the volunteer situation is like kind of mixed. So it's funny because a lot of our friends were like, "Oh, I really want to come," and we said like, "You actually can't. Like, it's not for you."
Okay.
But
yeah.
this year, because there's 2 events, we're gonna have more of our friends like positioned in volunteer roles so that they can experience it. And I know you guys do.
Well, that was lovely chatting with you, Dallas.
You too.
Learned so much. That was a deep one. Real deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a nap after you talk to me.
Can you tell the listeners how they can find you? Instagram, website?
Yep. So my business is Dallas & Co. Event Agency.
Mhm.
And on Instagram, A Chance to Dance is A Chance to Dance Canada. Both obviously have links. Everything is linked. If you just go to my profile, Dallas.Lombardi, everything is linked in my bio. So it's the easiest way to find all the things. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Love it.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Dallas. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
Please don't include this.
ASMR.
Except people get really annoyed listening to people chew. It's like a huge...
Oh, yeah. My sister hates it.
Oh.
I grew up with that. And I like to chew with my mouth open. I don't know why.
It's because you're uncultured.
I feel like it just tastes better.
The oxygen intake really helps flavor.
Exactly. Have I talked to you about this before?
No, but
Like,
if that's what you
Those
really...
are literally my thoughts. I don't know why.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know. Keith always tells me to chew with my mouth closed. So does my sister. My parents don't really care.
I feel like you're not that bad, but also, like,
No.
Ruben, if you're listening, I'm constantly telling him, like...
Close his mouth.
Close his mouth. Like, you should see him eat soup. I can't. And I don't even think I get that annoyed by it, but I'm like, bro, like...
The slurper.
Yeah. Don't do it. Terrible. All right, quick update.
Okay.
What are we doing? Where are we going? What's happening? It's March. I have a
March.
wedding tomorrow.
I have a colonoscopy on Monday.
Oh, I have a colonoscopy tomorrow.
Tomorrow, I'm going to the Argyle to play golf.
Nice. If anyone wants to join. No.
My new club later coming in today.
Dope.
I'm very excited about that. New clubs, new bag. So I'll be looking to sell my old clubs if anyone wants my old clubs, which are still excellent.
Why did you have to upgrade then?
Because my swing is different. I'm like stronger now. So, and I just wanted the newest gear because I can.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the times it's just because we can.
Yeah.
So we do.
Yes, colonoscopy tomorrow. I have to not eat on Sunday. Drink clear liquids only. Monday colonoscopy. Tuesday rest day. Wednesday I have headshots.
What, rest day from the colonoscopy? Do you get tired from it?
Well, I have to wake up on Monday morning at like 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
It is pretty exhausting.
Crazy.
Because you're pretty much on the toilet all night. You've never done it, so you don't know, I guess.
It is pretty exhausting because you're on the toilet all night.
It is exhausting. And then you get put out, you're sedated. So then like all of Mondays are right off because you're like high. You're just exhausted. Tuesday, you're like gassy all day and like trying to eat and like replenish your body.
You're just like literally describing my life. I don't know.
Have a colonoscopy first before you try.
I feel like I would crush it. Let me tell you.
I'm sure you would. I also crush colonoscopies, but I still put in a rest day for myself.
That's fair, honestly.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a surgery, kind of.
Sorry that I
downplayed my surgery.
No, I was going to say shamed you for having a rest day. You're welcome to have one.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
God.
How's pottery going?
Actually good.
Did you make me anything yet?
Yes.
Wow, I believe you. You're like, you can have it if you want.
You lots of things. I'm just about to upload a video of me failing hard on one.
Perfect.
I like made this perfect pot and then I stopped the wheel and I was like, it's done. And then I started it again because I was like,
it went flying. Yeah.
I was like, I just want to make it
sucks.
a little taller. And then as soon as I touched it, yeah, it like collapsed. And you can see on my face, I'm just like so ashamed of myself. I'm like, it was perfect. And then I ruined it.
Well, it's fine. You can start over, right? Like,
well, kinda. You start with new clay.
Right, but like
yeah,
it's
not
the whole point. The class is like learning how to like
yes.
So if anything,
I definitely learned from it.
It was great. Yeah, it was
great learning experience.
Great learning experience.
Stop when you're done. Don't keep going.
They should have made you try to fix it from where it was.
It's too hard.
You were like, it was unfixable.
By that, yeah, it's not fixable. Because then you start getting like air pockets and then it would explode in the kiln.
I feel like that's an urban myth, but whatever.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. It just felt like a fun thing to say. I don't know. Wedding season's going to start. Looking forward to it. I'm going to be fit this year.
Nice-ish.
I don't know. Maisel, I took her to the greenhouse as I do weekly. And I don't know why, but this time she really was like, oh, I'm going to run instead of going straight into the greenhouse. And so I had to chase her and I was like, oh, I'm going to need to start running because like this kid isn't fast, but like I kind of called her bluff, like, oh, she'll come back. Mm-hmm. False.
So now you got to catch up.
Yeah. And I ran like, I think it was like less than a minute. And I was like, wow. And then like I was breathing difficultly for like a good 10 minutes after that. And I had a pain in my side.
Aw.
Yeah.
You got to put her on a leash.
Honestly,
You ever have a leash as a child?
I don't know.
I've seen many children with leashes.
My parents weren't known for being good parents. I don't think they cared where I was or what I was doing. I'm actually editing, by the way.
Good for you. What are you editing?
Actually, a wedding from last year that I second shot because I have not gone through like my hard drives and like found like my seconding photos. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, oh, it'd be nice to go through these. And I love this wedding. So
Nice.
I'm like, why have I not shared any of this?
It's a good idea.
Yep. I think that's our life update. And loved that pod with Dallas. Hopefully, I find sometimes that like when we're talking, I'm like, are we rushing the convo? But like there felt like, you know,
It was good.
good. And we've got one more left.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And then that's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram. Oh man. Are your minis booked?
No. I have 4 left.
4 left. 4 left for Headshot Minis
Yeah.
at Millworks, March 30th. When does this come out? After. Not helpful.
Never mind.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Effie Edits Photo on Instagram.
Nice. And they can find me at DorothyMay_.
And also follow our podcast Instagram.
Yeah, because we're super hilarious.
Super hilarious. You can see our viral videos.
30 likes.
Edit Sesh Pod. Follow us.
Okay, bye.
Bye.